So Azospirillum is one such bacteria which also help the plants in nitrogen fixation. So when it is a symbiotic association, means both the organisms will be benefited out of it. The plant also is benefited and the bacteria are also benefited in turn. So the plant should get protected from the harmful microbes, because the harmful microbes will be the one which are causing diseases. Hello everyone, a warm welcome to the last session of this chapter of second PUC, that is Microbes in Human Welfare. I am Dr. Divya, Biology Faculty, Vidhyaashram Pre-University College, Mysuru, Temple of Excellence. So in the previous session of this chapter, we had discussed about the role of microbes in the control of insect pests. So in order to control insect pests, instead of going in for the that is inorganic method, that is a chemical method such as the use of pesticides and insecticides, we can use various insects to combat other insects such as the ladybirds. So ladybirds, they feed on the aphids. So therefore, the crop plants can be protected from the aphids by using the ladybirds. And also we understood how different bacteria can be used for controlling the insect pests, wherein we took the example of Bacillus thuringiensis bacteria, which produces a toxin called as the Bt toxin. And also we learnt about how viruses can also be used in controlling the insect pests. And one of the examples that we took was of the baculovirus. So we understood, instead of going in for a unhealthy way of managing the insect pests, we can depend on the organic practices by using various microbes in order to control the plant pathogens. So in today's session, we shall study how exactly microbes are used as biofertilizers. So we know that nowadays a lot of chemical fertilizers are coming up in the markets which are used for agricultural purposes in order to get good yield, in order to make the plant grow properly, and also in order to make the plant grow very fast in a short span of time, so that we can get the yields very early. So all these chemicals are hazardous to the human beings, and also they are quite hazardous to other microorganisms or beneficial microorganisms that are thriving in that particular crop land. So instead of going for all these practices, it is better to follow the organic method of farming. So in order to follow the organic method of farming, we need to use biofertilizers. So how can biofertilizers be used with the help of microbes? We shall study in today's session. So to start with, we shall first understand some of the microbes which actually play a very important beneficial role as biofertilizers. So there are different sources of biofertilizers, wherein microbes in the form of bacteria, fungi and cyanobacteria. So cyanobacteria are nothing but the blue-green algae. We have the Anabena, the nostoc and all that, which can be used directly to the agricultural fields. So we have various bacteria, various fungi. So one of the best example for fungi is Trichoderma, because I told you Trichoderma is also one such fungi which helps in enriching the nutrients in the soil, and not just that, it will facilitate proper growth of the plant and the overall development of the plant as well. And next is these cyanobacteria. So cyanobacteria, the blue-green algae, so these cyanobacteria, they actually increase the nitrogen content in the soil. So for that particular purpose, they can be used as a biofertilizer. What role they play as a biofertilizer, we shall study. And apart from that, I told you there are various bacteria which participate as a biofertilizer or which can be used as a biofertilizer. One of the best example is the Rhizobium bacteria. So we all have studied in the earlier classes that Rhizobium, it is a nitrogen fixing bacteria, right? It helps in fixing the nitrogen in the root nodules of the leguminous plants. So you can see nodule-like structures that are formed in the leguminous plants. So these rhizobium, they usually have a symbiotic association with that of the roots of the leguminous plants. So what these rhizobium do is, they will go and reside in the roots of the plant, forming nodule-like structures, and therefore they will reside in the nodules, and the nodules will act like a nest for the rhizobium bacteria. So the rhizobium bacteria can multiply in the nodules, and the rhizobium bacteria can also derive the nutrition through the nodules. So likewise, and also whatever nitrogen is being given by them or in the form of nitrates or ammonia, that will be given to the plants, and that nitrates, ammonia and nitrites will be utilized by the plants for proper growth. And we know that is nitrogen in the form of nitrates, ammonia and all that, they are one of the major macronutrients which are needed for the proper growth and development of the plants. So this is how the rhizobium actually helps. So the rhizobium, they are present in the nodules of the roots of the leguminous plants, and their main purpose is to fix atmospheric nitrogen. We know that plants are not capable of fixing atmospheric nitrogen. So whatever nitrogen is being released by the atmosphere, either in the form of a lightning, in the form of the industrial gases that are being released or so on, these nitrogen cannot be directly used. So it is the rhizobium bacteria that is present in the leguminous plants. They are the ones that convert the atmospheric nitrogen to nitrates and nitrites, and these nitrates and nitrites are the ones that are being used by the plants. So for that particular purpose, in order to fix atmospheric nitrogen, these rhizobium bacteria are very, very important, and therefore they act as a nutrient to the plant because it is one of the major macronutrients for the proper growth of the plant. And not just that, apart from rhizobium, there are also various other bacteria that can be used as a biofertilizer, and they help in the formation of the nodules and also help in the formation of the nitrogen fixation. One such bacteria is the azospirillum. So azospirillum is one such bacteria which also help the plants in nitrogen fixation, and there is one more bacteria called as the azotobacter. So azotobacter is also one such bacteria which helps in the fixation of the atmospheric nitrogen, therefore making the plants be available with the nitrogen in the form of nitrates and nitrites so that it can be easily absorbed by the plant. So this is how they actually function. They form a symbiotic association. So when it is a symbiotic association, means both the organisms will be benefited out of it. The plant also is benefited and the bacteria are also benefited in turn. So this is how they can be used as a biofertilizer. Next, talking about the mycorrhiza. So mycorrhiza it is a fungal pathogen. So different types of bacteria that can be used as a biofertilizer. It is rhizobium, azotobacter and azospirillum. Next, talking about the fungi. The fungi that can be used or that acts as a biofertilizer. It is the mycorrhizal fungi which belong to the genus Glomus. So these mycorrhizal fungi, they also reside in the roots of certain plants and they form a symbiotic association with the plant. So that is why they are called as the fungal symbionts, wherein they not just, they actually help the plant. So plants usually absorb phosphorus. Phosphorus is also one of the nutrients that is needed for the proper growth of the plant. But plants absorb phosphorus at a very slower rate. But this phosphorus is very important for the plant growth, and if it is important for the plant growth, the plants have to very quickly absorb phosphorus at a given rate of time, right? But here what happens here is, how can we facilitate the plants in order to absorb large quantities of phosphorus according to the requirement? That is by this particular fungi which is called as mycorrhiza. So mycorrhizas are such fungi which will help the plants to absorb phosphorus from the soil at a faster rate. So the rate varies. So plant which is not treated with mycorrhiza and one more plant which is treated with mycorrhiza, when we plant it in the soil and when we add phosphorus, the plant that is treated with mycorrhiza will grow very fast. because their phosphorus absorption will be maximized when compared to those plants which are not treated with mycorrhiza. So that is why mycorrhiza is one such fungal symbiont which helps the plants to absorb phosphorus from the soil and transport it to different parts of the plant body. And plants actually having such association with mycorrhiza, they are also resistant to root-borne pathogens and they render tolerance to salinity, tolerance to drought, and also they play a very important role in the overall increase in the plant growth and development. So mycorrhizas, they not just help the plants to absorb. So mycorrhizas, they reside. So you can see they form a thread-like structure covering the root. So you can see mycorrhiza here. These are the hyphae of the mycorrhizas. So these mycorrhizas, they form a continuous network of, they are fungi, right? So fungi, they have hyphae or mycelium. These mycelium, as they grow, they form a mesh-like structure or a network of hyphal structures which will cover the root. And these mycorrhiza, they not just help the plants to absorb phosphorus easily from the soil, but they also provide resistance to the plants against the soil-borne pathogens. So because we know that in the soil, there is presence of both beneficial microorganisms as well as the harmful microorganisms. So the plant should get protected from the harmful microbes because the harmful microbes will be the one which are causing diseases, right? So how can they render protection? One is we can add the agricultural chemicals that are there. But instead of doing that, we can add mycorrhiza. So mycorrhizas can also provide protection to the roots of the plants against the harmful pathogens, rhizosphere of that particular plant, right? So that is how they also render resistance to the root-borne pathogens, and also they give the plant certain amount of tolerance in order to withstand the saline condition. So what happens when there is drought or when there is scarcity of water or when the water is quite concentrated, the salt content in the water will increase. So, and in such concentrated saline conditions, how can the plants thrive or survive? It is because of this particular mycorrhiza, because of the symbiotic association with the mycorrhizal fungi. And also they help the plants to withstand drought condition. And also they help in the overall increase of the growth of the plant and development of the plant because they help the plants or they maximize the absorption capacity of the plants when it comes to phosphorus. So that is the importance of mycorrhiza as a biofertilizer. So next, talking about the cyanobacteria. How cyanobacteria helps as a biofertilizer. So cyanobacteria, usually they contain chlorophyll pigments. So you can see the cyanobacteria, that is why they are called blue-green. They also have green color. Why do they have green color? It is because of the presence of the photosynthetic pigment, that is chlorophyll, right? And these pigments help in the process of photosynthesis because chlorophyll are the one that helps in the trapping of the light energy. And because they are able to trap the light energy and they are able to photosynthesize, these cyanobacteria are called as the autotrophs. They are the autotrophic microbes. They are the blue-green algae or the autotrophic microbes which are usually widely distributed in both the aquatic and the terrestrial habitats or the environment. These cyanobacteria, they help in fixing atmospheric nitrogen. So we have Anabena. So Anabena is usually found associated with one pteridophyte. There is one pteridophyte species called as Azolla. It is the smallest pteridophyte that is there, which is called as Azolla. So under the roots of the Azolla, the rhizome of the Azolla, we can find these Anabena species, that is the blue-green algae called Anabena living in that. That is why some farmers, they grow Azolla in larger quantities. So that, why? Because the wherever Azolla is there Anabena will be there because there is a symbiotic relationship between Azolla and Anabena. So that is why. So farmers, they can grow this Azolla in larger quantities and therefore indirectly they are growing Anabena as well, right? And whenever the Azollas grow on a large scale, that Azolla they can put it to the fields, especially paddy fields and all they can use so that they help in the nitrogen fixation and therefore increasing the nitrate content in that particular soil. Therefore, it can be utilized by the plants for proper growth and development. So that is how they help in fixing atmospheric nitrogen. For example, we have Anabena, then there is nostoc. So this is nostoc. So we have nostoc, then there is oscillatoria. So oscillatoria is also a blue-green algae. So all these, that is Anabena, nostoc, oscillatoria, all these are the nitrogen fixers. They help in fixing the atmospheric nitrogen, making nitrates available to the plants. And therefore, these cyanobacteria can be used in the paddy fields and they can serve as a very important biofertilizer. And not just that, these blue-green algae also add to the organic matter of the soil. How do they add to the organic matter of the soil? It is because when these blue-green algal cells die, they will add on to the plant component of that particular soil, therefore resulting in the formation of the humus. Because we know that the dead and decaying organic matter that is present in the soil is nothing but the humus. So they will add extra fertilizer or organic fertilizer to the soil. So that is how they increase the organic matter in the soil and therefore increasing the fertility of that particular soil. Not just help in fixing atmospheric nitrogen, but they also die and decay, therefore adding the extra organic matter to the soil, therefore increasing the fertility of that particular soil. So this is how the microbes can be usually used as the biofertilizer. So we have learned from this particular session, instead of going in for the chemical methods for that is increasing the fertility of the soil, we can go in for the organic methods. It is always better to avoid chemical methods of that is increasing the fertility of the soil. And also chemical methods are temporary, but organic methods are permanent. Throughout it improves the quality of the soil, but chemical fertilizers, every time you'll have to keep replenishing the soil with the chemical fertilizers. So that is one. And also chemical fertilizers are not that cost effective, but whereas organic, these azolla and all, in the home itself, you can just lay one plastic sheet and you can pour water, you can add soil to that, and just a small bit of azolla you bring, within a month, the entire pond will get filled with azolla. Therefore, you can put it to the field because Anabena will also be growing in that particular azolla. So you can put it to the field and it is an easy biofertilizer. Not just that, these azollas are also fed to the cattle because it is said that it will increase the milk content in the cattle. So for that also farmers will use them. So that is how naturally they can be used as a biofertilizer instead of going in for the chemical fertilizers. So instead of using nitrogen to the soil directly, nitrates, they can go in for this particular. And again here, phosphorus is there in the soil. Instead of giving extra phosphorus to the soil, we can make the plant itself absorb too much of the phosphorus by adding the fungi. So that is how we can improve the quality of the particular soil and increase the organic content in the particular soil by using microbes as a biofertilizer. So I hope you understood this session well. With this, the chapter ends wherein we completely understood right from microbes in the kitchen, how they help in the kitchen by production of curds. They help in the curdling of milk, and curd is one of the important component wherein lactobacillus will be present. And these lactobacillus add vitamin B12 to the curd, therefore replenishes the body, and vitamin B12 is very, very important for all the muscular functions to occur properly. It is very important. So for all that, right from the household, that is the lactobacillus, then there comes the brewer's yeast, that is Saccharomyces cerevisiae or the baker's yeast. Right from the household kitchen to the large industrial areas and then to the open fields as biofertilizers, how microbes play a lot of beneficial roles to the farmers, though they have quite a lot of harmful effects causing diseases and all that. But there are certain microbes which are very much important to the human population in terms of agriculture, not just that, and also in terms of the production of various food products such as bread, various juices, alcoholic beverages, and for all that they are used. So that is how microbes play a very important role in improving the life of man. So this was about this chapter. So we shall meet again with a new chapter in the coming sessions. Thank you.